is a great privilege and honor for me to be invited to participate in the Philippines' first telecom summit. Although I have not been focused on the industry as long as many of you have, I've only started my advocacy 10 years ago in my mid-20s. I would like to believe that I have this great and daunting task in front of me to represent the consumers of Philippine telecommunications. I cannot help but be passionate about my advocacy on better broadband. This is actually the first time that I'm really strongly believe that technology as a tool can help the Philippines leapfrog into the future. Having better internet will benefit not only the country, but as an individual, personally, I envision the internet to help my kids, working mothers like myself, my household help who communicate with their families in the provinces, and everyone I know who would want to communicate. What we want for them is the freedom to communicate, freedom to access information, and the freedom to choose. Access to telecommunication services has actually improved over the past 23 years, and this was mainly influenced by mobile services. As you see in the graph here, in 1992, when the government opened up the telecommunications sector to more players, we see that there has been a huge improvement in telecommunications, particularly in mobile services, where the introduction of technology and consumer-friendly pricing, as well as the interconnection of networks, all contributed to the mobile phone boom. However, if you notice, fixed lines have actually stagnated, and fixed line penetration actually declined over the past 5 years. Telcos have mainly concentrated investment in mobile cellular network. Internet use is inching its way up from just 2% in the year 2000, we are now up to 41%. However, much remains to be seen, whether the Philippines can actually have more internet users as we try to catch up with our ASEAN neighbors. The ITU's Broadband Commission actually set out a set of targets to make broadband more accessible and more affordable. In the internet age, the main issues of telecommunications revolve around access, cost, and the quality of internet, particularly of broadband. The Broadband Commission has identified several targets. First, that all countries by 2015 would have a national broadband plan. And I would like to congratulate the Department of ICT for this. We, the consumers and advocacy groups, look forward to participating in crafting the more detailed plan in the coming months and in the implementation of the program in the years to come. Another target of the Broadband Commission is that by 2015, all entry-level broadband services should cost less than 5% of the average monthly income of a household. 40% of households should have internet access, and internet penetration ideally should reach 50%. In the next few slides, I will show you whether the Philippines has indeed achieved these targets that was set out by the Broadband Commission. Who are connected in the Philippines? In the Philippines, we have seen an increase in internet penetration over the past 5 years, particularly in mobile broadband. As you can see here in the graph, Sorry, it's just taking a while for the clicker to work. Some technical issue. In 2010, there were about 9.5 households per 100 households that had internet. Fixed broadband was quite low in 2010. About 1.8 in 100 Filipinos had fixed broadband access. In mobile broadband, it was around 2.3. But 5 years later, we find that there are actually 19 times more broadband users in 2015. However, there is a lot of improvement in terms of household use and fixed broadband connection. Unfortunately, the Philippines did not meet the Broadband Commission's recommended target of 40% household penetration and 50% internet user penetration. Who are not connected? And to me, this is the more important information. Despite improvements in telecommunication services and the internet in particular, many Filipinos remain unconnected. 59% of our total population are still not online. 72% of total households do not have access to the internet. And 74%, and this is what breaks my heart the most, 74% of all public schools remain unconnected. Despite having the budget for a monthly subscription fee, these schools reported to the Department of Education that they were unable to connect to a telco facility in their community. Apart from access, we also need to see the quality of internet that our consumers are getting. In terms of fixed broadband, and this graph is actually a summary of the results of Akamai Technology State of the Internet report from 2011 to 2016. As you can see, the Philippines has yet to catch up with its Asian neighbors. In the last quarter of 2016, actually very recently, Akamai's report recorded the average connection of the Philippines as 4.5 megabits per second. We are now the slowest in the Asia Pacific according to Akamai's study. India, which used to fall behind us, has actually leapfrogged over us with an average speed now of 5.6 megabits per second, double its performance a year ago. And as you can see, the average compounded growth in terms of average of speed, the Philippines only grew 300% over the course of 5 years, compared to our ASEAN neighbors who have improved much more. It is worth noting, however, that there was significant improvement even in fixed broadband, beginning in 2015. I think this can be, according to the study that we collaborated on, this is with Wilson Chua, a big data analyst, and Measurement Lab in Washington, D.C. We actually found that through collaboration of ISPs, through local IP peering, and government initiatives in deploying its own fiber optic network, we found that the Philippines' average speed in fixed broadband increased. And if you look at the Philippines in 2015 and 2016, you will see how its average speed jumped from about 2 to 3 megabits per second to over 7 megabits per second. We looked at what happened in 2015 and 2016, and we found that it was through peering that this significant improvement happened. We also found that it was public institutions that actually pulled the country's download speed up. If you see here, public institutions, which consist of government, public universities, government agencies, and research centers and institutions, actually recorded an average speed of almost 42 Mbps. And I would like to congratulate the DICT and DOST for their efforts in making internet accessible and faster for our public institutions. We also looked at the difference between the average speeds of those networks who are peered and those who are not. And we'd like to answer the question, are peered networks faster? The answer is yes. If you see in the graph, the dotted line that's going up in orange, those are peered networks. And those that are not are falling behind. Let's look at mobile broadband. OpenSignal, which monitors global mobile network performance, they collect data from regular consumer smartphones under normal usage, recorded the Philippines' mobile broadband speeds at 3.3 megabits per second. This is unfortunately the second slowest in the world this quarter. But another significant finding of OpenSignal is the significant number of Wi-Fi users in the Philippines, which reaches about over 40%. And to me, this actually points to the importance of allowing different technologies to be used for connectivity. And I would like to take mention of the DICT's free public Wi-Fi program and its Tech for Ed program for allowing public ICT access for those who cannot afford or for those who do not have access to the usual or traditional telco facilities. Akamai's State of the Internet report also included the Philippines in its mobile connectivity report, starting in the second quarter of 2016. My apologies because the clicker is not cooperating with me. I need to go back to that slide. However, Akamai also noted that the Philippines did not meet the minimum requirement of 25,000 unique IPv4 addresses seen by Akamai as coming from a mobile network. Therefore, it also noted that the Philippines is not qualified in their analysis, but the data was included in the report for reference. I reached out to Akamai and asked for their comment, and they said that they continue to work with mobile networks within the Philippines to better understand our mobile network architecture, but they are confident in the validity of the speed test that they did. Looking at how broadband users experience the service that are given to them, we can now see in the graph the result of a Learn Asia study. I personally conducted the tests from 2011 to 2014. And we see here the actual speed versus advertised speed that Filipino consumers are getting for this particular test. Ideally, consumers would get at least 80% of promised speed. However, Philippine mobile ISPs were about 50% short of advertised speed. In terms of value for money, this is another graph which shows you user experience in terms of average page load time. This is the number of seconds that a web user has to wait before a web page loads. And as we can see here, compared to our ASEAN and other Asian countries, it takes 4.71 seconds for the Philippines to load a web page, which is far longer than other Asian countries. So, knowing the speed, the quality of internet service that consumers get, Learn Asia computed for the value for money. Value for money is computed as in terms of actual speed received versus the cost of the data plan that consumers pay for in 1 month. A summary of the results of that study. Can you help me go back to the previous slide, please? It says here that actual speed never reached advertised speed, not even once, when those tests were conducted. The highest average of actual speed by an ISP was only about 27% of advertised speed. And speed performance also declined for all ISPs tested on that year. Is Philippine broadband affordable? The ITU's Broadband Commission set a target of 5% as the affordability threshold, which means that your entry-level broadband connection should not cost more than 5% of the average income of a consumer. So the next few slides actually come from ITU's Measuring the Information Society report. And as we can see here, although the price of fixed broadband has declined since 2014, it has remained unaffordable. However, that's the same situation for mobile broadband postpaid. That's a higher tier plan of 1 GB. However, if we look at the lower tier prepaid mobile data plans, we see that it is becoming more affordable and it has remained below the 5% threshold. Another study that came out very recently is from the Economist Intelligence Unit's Inclusive Internet Study, which was commissioned by Internet.org of Facebook. And it notes there that the Philippines' affordability rank is particularly low. Affordability, as defined in that study, is measured based on the cost of access relative to the income of consumers and the level of competition in the internet marketplace, which pertains to the concentration of the market for ISPs. I have here some inputs that I gathered from consumers, and what we see here is that consumers, in terms of speed, would like to see a review of the necessity of bandwidth capping for maintaining service quality. Consumers also want to see not only speed, but the reliability of internet access during peak hours, during inclement weather, and also they would want to call on the NTC to update its service reliability standards and metrics, and also address misleading or inaccurate advertising on internet speeds. In terms of cost, consumers want to see a revamp of internet service payment practices. If they don't get the service, they shouldn't be made to pay for the service. Some of them also wanted a bill to be passed on no-load expiry, which I think many of our lower-income fellow Filipinos are really angry about. In the next few slides, I will introduce to you the Better Broadband Coalition, the Better Broadband Alliance, which is a coalition of citizens and stakeholders who are committed to supporting initiatives for better, affordable, and reliable internet. This is actually a group of civil society organizations, academic institutions, and business groups who are pushing for the same cause. We believe that efficient broadband connectivity is a driver of the Philippines' economic growth and inclusive development. we envision a Philippines where there are 4 A's. If the government has 4 P's, we have 4 A's. That is broadband for anyone, anytime, anywhere, using any technology. Our call is to create a policy and regulatory environment that promotes competition and a level playing field for all service providers, that adapts to innovation and not stifle it, and encourages collaboration among stakeholders. We want to ensure an open internet where all voices and ideas are welcome, to allow the democratic access to technology that enhances market dynamism and foster innovation, and ultimately to protect consumer rights and welfare. Some of our recommended solutions to date: we would like to see a regulatory environment that is technology neutral and service oriented. International best practice and modern day regulation does not restrict technology use. So our ISPs, whether it's a telco, it's a value-added service provider, we believe should be allowed to own and operate their own network and use whatever type of technology they see fit. Our policy also needs to be future-proof. We should allow internet technology to be used in the Philippines by any service provider. As a long-term solution, we have helped Congress in drafting and filing the Open Access in Data Transmission Bill. In the short term, however, we see that there is a need to future-proof regulation, and this can easily be done by executive issuances, by NTC memorandum circulars, and even the ICT. We want to unleash the potential of new alternative technologies, including satellite broadband, your loons, your drones, whatever type of technologies out there. We have to make sure that our regulator will allow the entry of these technologies so that those who are not reached by fiber optic network, by cellular networks, the traditional internet technology that we use can now be reached. Open access, in summary, aims to unlock the market and lower regulatory barriers to entry as well as the cost of entry to the market. We also believe that if you allow value-added service providers to connect to telco facilities, that actually defeats the purpose of competition. And if you put up barriers to entry, such as congressional franchises, even to your small service providers, especially in the remote rural areas, then you are, in effect, not allowing them to compete or provide services to where it is most needed. Again, open access is a framework that adopts technology-neutral policy and regulation. It encourages market entry even for small players, promotes transparency and the level playing field so that no one entity can take a position of dominant market power, and you only regulate where necessary. And we have 4 areas where we think regulation is important: spectrum allocation, interconnection, setting of minimum standards, and penalizing those who cannot commit to those standards, especially to their paying customers, and net neutrality. In future-proofing regulation, we have to allow value-added service providers to embrace and take advantage of new technologies that are out there. We have to let innovation benefit all Filipinos, and we shouldn't be the ones who are controlling technology, because that's not how the internet works. Thank you very much for your time, and I would like to give my appreciation to all those who contributed to this presentation, especially to the consumer groups and the business groups and other ICT reform advocacy groups out there. Thank you very much for this opportunity.